Hello everybody, welcome back. We are back with some more Genshin. We are going to continue Act 2 of the Archon quest today. Last time we learned why Navia and Clarend have beef. I say have beef, but it's really just Navia has beef with Clarend, and it's for a great reason. Navia found out that her father was arrested and going to go on trial for the murder of one of his friends. And instead of going up for trial, he decided to duel to the death with Clarend, who killed him, and his last request to her was to watch over Navia. Navia kind of hated that and doesn't like Clarend now. Anyway, we are going to continue with Navia, our investigation of the missing girls, which is what her father wanted to investigate and was investigating before he was killed in a duel. So we are going to go to the original Spina di Rasula headquarters, I believe. Whoa, that is a huge ship. Underground.
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship,
Ah, very cool.
who asked for it to be built like this? Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally have in common. A gigantic
It makes sense for like the anchors on her dress now. I get it. Great design.
It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
I think I'm starting to get why you like it.
You were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious past. I'm always confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers.
Yeah, that's true.
This ship for herself? Convinced.
All it took was a single boat to convince Paimon.
Began after all. It's our main base, our home. We're back.
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners. You said before
No
that you still have
problemo.
some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so quickly?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important.
Mm-hmm.
You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from
Right.
the primordial sea? You still remember, right?
We're thinking that the actual murderer,
Yes,
not her
the case was quite
father,
similar to that of
they could have been
Miss
dissolved under the disguise of rain with the primordial water.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson.
Okay.
At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite
Oh,
you and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
that sounds like the primordial water. Yeah.
Mentioned that the primordial water could be used to produce some kind of potion?
Mm.
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea.
Interesting.
If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions.
Uh-oh.
To stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia,
Yikes.
anxiety, while lacking energy to do anything. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath. But no matter how much they
Oh.
bribed him, he refused to yield.
I see.
Not only that, the boss became
So he
determined
was
to find the mastermind
making
behind
some
this.
enemies, for sure.
My father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, he was able to convince someone
Ooh.
to become his informant.
Okay.
His name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed
Aw.
about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse.
Aw.
That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. We planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some food.
Mm-hmm.
Then, 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead on the ground.
Huh? How did that happen?
Yeah, what?
The same side?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither.
Yeah, I mean, why would her dad do that?
I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time.
Mm.
There were pieces of clothing left at the scene.
So they could have belonged to someone who got dissolved.
It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired.
It's also possible that the third person was to blame.
We still don't know what happened, but my intuition tells me that we're on the right track to figuring it all out. I'm finally headed towards the truth.
Jacques was an empathetic man.
I almost wonder if the actual murderer, like, shot Jacques and then her father pulled out a gun to shoot that guy, but he dissolved.
This third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you,
Oh no.
as you're and your father's butler, I must still offer a
Aw.
word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path.
Oh,
It would be both wise
he cares about her a lot. He does not want to see her get hurt.
and back and give up on the case.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself.
Oh,
Was I not the closest person
Navia.
to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark.
It's because it was dangerous.
Point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew. Did he manage to protect anything in the end? Synth is still here. Callas the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Nothing has changed. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly?
He was
I've
trying
never
to
accepted
protect
that,
you.
ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Indeed, the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, Demoiselle, I think you're
We got her
also
back.
ready to take this on.
So you do know something else, Melus.
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the
What?
disappearances case. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, Demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
No way.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had
Oh,
been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had
that's so sad.
no more than 5 years left to live, and the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict, but once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic
Ooh.
before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina de Rosula about the details. But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence
Wow.
with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately
Oh my
expose
gosh.
what they knew about Synth
This
and
is
the
crazy.
victims.
Right. So nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
Right.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
No. I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
No
Oh,
father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss.
he was so protective of her.
So he chose to
Aw.
die in silence, so that he could protect me.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword. If Boss's
Wow.
spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved, I'm sure he'd be extremely
Oh.
proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now?
He gave you the choice to live how you want to.
I suppose That's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived
Exactly.
my life without a care in the world.
Right.
But thankfully,
He wanted you to make
he
the
really
choice in
understood
this.
complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Melus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, it's the enemy's headquarters. when he
That's
was
huge.
fighting. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take several things into consideration.
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious,
Right.
dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside, nor what people we may be able to capture.
It's like the delusion factory all over again.
Orders will be not to a formal declaration of war. The worst case,
That does sound like it would be tough for the
empty-handed.
the two of us to do.
Open ourselves up to full retaliation.
I don't want to see anyone get dissolved.
With the Fontaine authorities.
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Right?
That's true. Seems my father really had no choice. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Bruce.
I am the butler. I live to serve
And what a great butler he is. Melus and Silver are the best.
mankind.
Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula. At least have an informant planted here.
That's not great.
Orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf. I used to deliberately keep a few people in the
Ooh.
dark and observe the reactions of the synth vendor.
Sneaky.
If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Okay.
Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't
That
it?
is surprising if he's a senior advisor.
Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
What is this confrérie?
Guild in Poisson. The boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence.
Okay,
In
alright.
the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around with a lot of business connections in the city.
Interesting. Okay.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us
Okay.
to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authority.
To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust
Disappointing.
most. It's almost too hard to believe.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry.
My dear partner,
Leave it to me.
work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Yeah. Oh, good. We got more. We got another notebook. Love that for us. All right, let's go visit Jacques' family. That's nice that they took them in here after that happened.
Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Oh, why does her daughter look so angry? Oh my gosh, she is so mad.
Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened, I didn't know how I was supposed to face the two of you.
If it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mura and support. I understood your guilt and apology to be genuine.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can
So
understand
sad.
the kind of pain that comes with losing a father so needlessly.
You don't understand at all.
Oh, oh no. this kiddo is super mad.
didn't know what I could possibly bring as a graduation gift.
Yeah. She's like, you don't get it. Your dad killed my dad. It's not the same.
I know only the full truth could bring closure to you. And to all of us.
Oh, and she's sassy too. Wow.
Appreciate the sentiment, but you don't have to carry all that guilt. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found our answer already.
Huh?
Mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe that my father could ever bring himself to shoot Jacques.
It does
I
seem
always knew
strange.
my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business again.
Sad.
Many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. So when Mr. Callas came to him with a proposal, he accepted
Aw.
almost immediately.
He felt so bad about what he was doing.
As he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told
That's
me that
rough.
he had no choice. It was only later
Oh,
that I
no.
realized it was his final farewell to the two of us.
Does that mean someone ordered Jacques to take out
I
Callas?
don't know that for sure.
What?
You could say that the conclusion I eventually came to,
Oh no.
which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callas had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after he passed away.
This just got even more twisty.
He killed my husband.
I know.
The insult.
Traitor turned traitor.
It is impossible for me to hate him for what he had done.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy if he did the right thing? Papa always wanted to be a good man. So why did he have to do
Aw.
a bad thing in the end?
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel like your papa was a good man, right?
Yeah. Papa was a really good man.
Oh,
The best in the whole
my heart. This poor little girl.
If a good man had to do a bad thing, then he must have had his reasons, regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword.
Oh.
He must have done so to give you a better life.
Oh,
Thank you.
She's like, I don't get it.
Told me.
My dad didn't leave me a parasol or a sword.
The current state of things is not something I'm willing to just sit back and accept.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to hear this
Aw.
from you. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination
So
when you
cute.
speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's